CCTV footage reveals the truth behind Cha Eun Woo's death. The world froze when the news broke that Cha Eun Woo, one of the brightest stars of his generation, had been found lifeless under mysterious circumstances. Fans across the globe wept, unable to comprehend how a man whose life radiated light, music, and cinematic brilliance could have his flame extinguished so suddenly. For weeks, speculation dominated every conversation. Rumors about health complications, whispers of an accident, and darker theories of betrayal. No one expected the truth to arrive in the most chilling form possible. CCTV footage. The footage, leaked late at night, spread like wildfire. Within hours, millions had seen the final moments that led to his untimely death. What began as an ordinary evening revealed a storm of secrets buried deep beneath polished smiles and picture-perfect moments. The tape not only answered the question of how Cha Eun Woo died, it tore apart illusions, exposed long-hidden grudges, and ignited a feud so fierce it promised to change the course of two families forever. The footage started innocently. Cha Eun Woo walked into a dimly lit hall after a private event. His smile was soft, tender even, as though he had just shared a meaningful moment. Behind him appeared a woman, delicate, hesitant, yet undeniably the person who had captured his guarded heart. She was not just anyone. She was a forbidden love no one was supposed to know about. For years, Eun Woo had protected her identity, shielding her from the glare of fame. She was his quiet place, his anchor when the world demanded perfection. But the CCTV revealed something no one had ever imagined. Instead of the embrace fans expected to see, the video captured heated words. The woman's gestures grew sharp. Her voice, though inaudible, was clearly laced with anger. Eun Woo reached out to calm her, his hand trembling as it brushed against her cheek. Yet she shoved him back, and for the first time, the world saw the pain hidden behind Eun Woo's perfect mask. The footage was raw, unfiltered, a glimpse into the vulnerability of a man torn between love and despair. Moments later, the confrontation escalated. Another figure emerged, a shadowed silhouette who lingered at the corner of the hall. What shocked everyone was the familiarity of his posture. It was Eun Woo's own elder brother. The footage showed him watching, unmoving, as though he had been expecting this meeting. His face was carved with cold fury, eyes fixed on the woman who had been the center of Eun Woo's hidden world. The tension in that frame was unbearable. Seconds stretched into eternity. The woman tried to leave, but Eun Woo grabbed her hand, begging her not to go. His lips formed words that viewers replayed over and over. "Don't leave. You're the only one I'll ever love." The brother stepped forward then, his voice low, but his expression seething. A confrontation erupted between siblings, one desperate to protect love, the other blinded by vengeance for unspoken grievances. The final moments of the tape shattered hearts. In a surge of chaos, Eun Woo collapsed. Whether it was from a push, a blow, or a sudden twist of fate, the footage left room for painful ambiguity. His body struck the marble floor, his eyes wide open, fixed not on his brother but on her, the woman who stood frozen in horror, her lips trembling, her hands outstretched as though reaching for something she had already lost. The revelation sent shockwaves. This was no accident. This was no quiet passing. It was a climax of forbidden love story tangled with betrayal, family pride, and secrets too heavy to remain buried. In the days following the leak, Eun Woo's brothers swore vengeance. They stood before cameras, their grief painted in anger, declaring that they would destroy the family of the woman involved. Yet in the same breath, truth pierced through. Eun Woo's last words, caught in that silent recording, were not of hatred but of love. He had chosen her, even as the world collapsed around them. He had seen her as his only salvation. What made the story more haunting was the uncovering of secrets buried for years. Investigations revealed that both families had a history of rivalry stretching back generations. The woman's father had once betrayed the trust of Eun Woo's family and business, leading to silent feuds that disguised themselves as formal smiles in public. For years, Eun Woo's brothers had despised her bloodline, branding her unworthy, dangerous even. Eun Woo, however, had defied tradition, risking everything to keep her in his life. The footage exposed how far love could push someone to rebellion, and how deep wounds of pride could poison even the closest bonds. Eun Woo's brother's expression on the tape wasn't only hatred for her. It was disappointment in his sibling for daring to love where he was forbidden. That betrayal of family loyalty had festered like an open wound, one that ultimately erupted in a tragedy caught on film. Fans, meanwhile, divided sharply. Some condemned the woman, branding her the root of Eun Woo's destruction. Others defended her, arguing that the footage showed not a villain, but a woman who had loved too deeply and been caught in the crossfire of family war. Candlelight vigils lit across cities as people mourned not just Eun Woo's death, but the cruelty of society that forced love into shadows until it withered. But the most unsettling part was the aftermath. Eun Woo's brothers didn't simply vow revenge in words. They began unraveling every thread of her family's life. Businesses crumbled overnight under quiet but merciless attacks. Allies vanished, partnerships dissolved, and doors once open slammed shut. It became clear that this wasn't just grief. It was retribution carried out with precision. The woman, once hidden in Eun Woo's arms, now faced the wrath of men determined to erase her existence. Yet even in this storm, her voice emerged. At a quiet press conference, her face pale but her gaze unshaken. She spoke of Eun Woo's final whisper. "He told me I was his only love," she said, her voice breaking. "He wanted peace. He never wanted hate." Those words silenced rooms, cutting to the noise of anger. For a fleeting moment, the world remembered not the feud, not the vengeance, but the boy who had once smiled with eyes that carried constellations. What the CCTV footage did, beyond uncovering the truth of Eun Woo's death, was expose humanity at its rawest. Love, jealousy, betrayal, and the unforgiving weight of family expectations. It showed a man who had given everything to protect a woman he adored, only to be torn down by the very blood he trusted. It unveiled brothers who, in their grief, chose destruction over healing. And it revealed a woman who, despite carrying the blame of millions, still clung to the love that defined her life. Even now, debates rage. Was it murder or an accident born from chaos? Did the brother mean to harm him, or was it a tragic twist of fate? The ambiguity of the footage ensures that the story will linger, whispered in conversations and dissected in headlines for years. But one truth remains undeniable. Eun Woo died not in hatred but in love. His final gaze, his last words, and his silent plea carved themselves into memory of everyone who saw that haunting tape. As fans flood social media with messages of grief, as families lock themselves in battles too old to heal, and as a woman he loved walks through the ashes of her world, one thing echoes louder than vengeance, louder than secrets: the enduring tragedy of Cha Eun Woo's heart. The release of the CCTV footage was supposed to close the chapter, but instead it unlocked something far more dangerous. Every frame of that grainy recording replayed endlessly across the internet, magnifying every twitch of a hand, every glance, every flicker of emotion. What should have been the truth became a storm of interpretations. And in that storm, secrets buried for years began clawing their way to the surface. Cha Eun Woo's death was no longer just a tragedy. It was a war. The brothers, once admired for their unity and discipline, transformed overnight. Their grief hardened into vengeance, and their words became blades. "We will destroy her family," one of them declared during a private gathering that quickly leaked online. His voice was low, dangerous, stripped of humanity. But what pierced the audience most wasn't a vow of violence. It was a visible pain etched on his face, a pain born from losing the brother who had been his pride, his confidant, and his compass. Behind closed doors, the family's estate became a fortress. Inside, the brothers pored over footage obsessively, frame by frame, searching for hidden details. One swore that the woman's trembling hand suggested guilt. Another insisted a shadow of hesitation before Eun Woo's collapse proved her betrayal. But no matter how many times they replayed it, the same chilling truth lingered. Eun Woo's final gaze had not been one of accusation, but of love, and that haunted them. The woman herself became a ghost in the public eye. For days she disappeared, hiding from the onslaught of death threats and the relentless paparazzi who hunted her. Yet when she reappeared, it wasn't with fear, it was with fire. Standing on a quiet street where fans had laid flowers for Eun Woo, she wept openly, her voice breaking as she whispered, "He loved me. He chose me. Even in death, he chose me." The moment spread like wildfire. To some, she became a villain clutching at sympathy. To others, a tragic heroine carrying the unbearable weight of forbidden love. Her family, however, faced the storm directly. Old rivalries reignited, exposing betrayals buried in contracts and forged in boardrooms decades ago. The woman's father was painted as the man who had once betrayed Eun Woo's family in business. The revelation reopened wounds that had never healed, proving that this tragedy was not just about two people in love, but about families chained by pride and poisoned history. The footage had become more than evidence. It was a weapon. Online detectives dissected every second, claiming to see things missed by others. The way Eun Woo's hand trembled as though he knew danger was coming, the flicker of guilt in his brother's stance, the sudden flash of fear in the woman's eyes. Others swore there was more footage. Camera angles hidden away, tapes locked deep in the archives of the building. Conspiracy theories grew wild. Was it really just a confrontation, or was someone orchestrating every detail from the shadows? But perhaps the most heart-wrenching scene came not from footage or statements, but from Eun Woo's funeral itself. His brothers stood rigid, their grief disguised in stern silence, while fans lined the streets holding candles. And then, as though fate mocked them all, the woman appeared, dressed in black. Her face pale as a ghost, she walked through the crowd with trembling steps. Every eye turned toward her. Gasps echoed like thunder. Some shouted curses. Others sobbed uncontrollably. But she did not stop. She approached the coffin, placed her shaking hand on it, and whispered through her tears, "I'm sorry I couldn't save you." That moment shattered even the coldest hearts. Even those who doubted her felt the raw truth in her sorrow. For though the brothers swore revenge, though society painted her as a destroyer, only she knew the truth of his last words. He had loved her desperately, fearlessly, and even as his life slipped away, she was the only one he looked at. In the aftermath, whispers of Eun Woo's private writings surfaced, letters and journals he had hidden away from the world. They spoke of his struggle between family loyalty and forbidden love, of nights spent staring at the stars wondering why happiness always fell out of reach, of a woman who made him feel alive in ways fame never could. These letters confirmed what the footage had already suggested. Eun Woo had chosen love, even at the cost of everything else. And so, the tragedy evolved into legend. Fans began romanticizing his story, painting murals of him with constellations in his eyes and a broken heart in his chest. Songs were written, poems recited, entire documentaries prepared to immortalize his final act of defiance against the chains of family pride. But behind the art and the candles, the war between the two families raged on. The brothers moved like shadows, dismantling the woman's family's empire piece by piece. Yet, no matter how far they pushed, her father refused to crumble. Instead, he revealed a secret that stunned everyone. Cha Eun Woo had been preparing to marry her. Hidden away in a drawer was a simple silver ring, engraved with words that broke the internet once revealed. Forever, no matter the cost. The revelation silenced the world. Eun Woo hadn't just loved her in secrecy. He had intended to bind his life to hers. His brothers, upon hearing this, shattered in ways words could not describe. Their fury collapsed into guilt. Their thirst for vengeance suddenly looked like betrayal of the very man they swore to protect. For if Eun Woo had lived, he would have chosen her over them. The CCTV footage, once a symbol of mystery, became something else entirely. It was no longer about blame or guilt. It was about love so powerful it defied rules, history, and even death. A love that left behind devastation, yes, but also a legacy the world would never forget. And perhaps that is why Eun Woo's story continues to echo. Because in his final moments, in that grainy recording replayed 1,000 times, he showed the world something greater than fame or family. He showed the kind of love that burns, that destroys, that heals, and that lives forever in memory. A love that no revenge,